Hi, my name is Elle, and Clarissa is asking if I can please share my Bookopoly board. So for those of you who are new here, we took Becca's original Bookopoly board. She also calls it Becca's Bookoplathon, and we made some tweaks to it so that we can make it a two-player game. If you click here, you can find the intro video where I introduce kind of the concept. I've also made a video talking about the changes we've made to the rules in order to make it for two players instead of a solo game. So let's get into our actual board and the prompts that we put onto it. So here's a pulled back view of the entire board. I decided not to go too heavy on like drawing little pictures and making it super pretty. This is supposed to be a little bit more functional, but absolutely feel free to decorate yours and make yours a little bit prettier. I will say the one thing that I do plan to do is I do plan to add a little image right here of a book in a little jail cell. But other than that, I don't really plan on adding any images or any more colors or anything like that to this. I just wanted it to be very clean and easy to read. So now I'm going to zoom in and we're going to go through the different prompts that we have on our board. So just like with regular Monopoly, you do start on the go space. And as we go around, the brown, or sometimes this is the purple colors, this is going to be looking at your TBR and finding which book has the lowest rating in the whole TBR. This is really easy to do if you use Storygraph or Goodreads or an app like that to keep track of your TBR, because you can sort it by the rating and find out what is the lowest rated book on your TBR. We have our community shelf, which I explained in the rules video. This is a short book, less than 250 pages. You can change this number if you really like to read books that are 250 pages. Maybe a short book for you is less than 100 pages, especially if you're playing with like children or something like that. A TBR veteran is a book that has been on your TBR for a long time. I would say at least a year, if not longer. This is one of our railroads. So the railroads are all going to be specific things that have to be in the title of the book. So for this one, it's people. It could either be a name or it could be a title of a person like Mr., Doctor, King, Queen, something along those lines. It has to be related to people in the title. So the picture of Dorian Gray would count for this, as would King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. For our blues, we have humans as the main character, a book that has gods in it, or a book that has monsters in it. So monsters can be anything from vampires and werewolves to, Cthulhu and things like that. So for our book jail, we did change this. On Becca's, so far we've kept everything the same as Becca's prompts for one of the years. She does change some of her prompts up every year. So this was the year that we decided we liked the prompts the best. So for hers, it's play a different TBR game made by another booktuber or book talker. Instead, we have decided that book jail is going to be rereading a book that we've already read before, because that kind of feels like book jail. You already know where the story is going and stuff like that, so you're just going to do it again. Our pink colors in here is a book that is hyped, a new book that has just come out, and who is actually the opposite of hyped. So if hyped is a book that everyone's talking about, who is a book that you really haven't seen people talking about, or maybe a book that you just kind of picked up on a whim and you don't really know anything about. Here we have our electric company. So electric company and waterworks are related, sort of. So this one is a mood read. And if we jump over here to our water company one, this is a seasonal read. So if it's springtime, you're going to read a book about spring. If it's winter, you're going to read like a cozy winter feeling book, that kind of thing. So our second railroad is, it has to have a color in the title. So I don't know, I can't even think of one off the top of my head, but it just has to have a color of some kind in the title. Our oranges over here are history, myth, lore, legend, or fairy tale, and nonfiction. History does not have to be nonfiction. It could also be historical. So historical romance, historical fantasy, historical fiction, something along those lines where they're strongly leaning into the history of it. Myth, lore, legend, and fairy tale. I feel like that speaks for itself. You could do fractured fairy tales or, a spin on a myth or a legend, things like that. Nonfiction also kind of speaks for itself. This is the free parking square. On Becca's, it's a recommendation from Becca's list. But because, again, we are playing this together, we decided that whoever lands on this, the other person will pick a book for them. So if Rogue Potato lands on this, I'm going to go through his TBR and his bookshelves and pick a book that I think that he should read. And he can kind of give me like, oh, this is kind of what I'm in the mood for and stuff like that. So he can kind of influence it, but I'm going to be the one picking it for him, and vice versa if I land here. So for our reds, we have cute, opulent, and spooky. These are more about the vibes. So a book with a cute cover or an opulent cover where it has like gold foiling or like really fancy details, a book with a spooky cover, but this could also be the book itself. So a really cutesy book or a spooky book, a book that has opulent vibes to it. Sorry for the timer. My kid's doing homework in the background. So our third railroad is times of day in the title. This could be a specific time of day, but this could also be like midnight, noon, afternoon, those kinds of things, morning in the title. Our yellows are a little bit tricky. So raid TBR means you're going to go and find somebody else's to read list and pick a book off of there. It can be something that's also on yours, or it could be something that you just decided to go with based on, the vibes when you did it. So for us, this is going to be, he's going to raid my TBR or I'm going to raid his TBR. Last color means the color of the last book that you read has to have this, the cover of the last book you read and the cover of this book have to be the same color. Seasonal read we already covered. Last letter, first letter is kind of similar to this. So the last letter of the last book you read has to be the first letter of this book. So if the last book you read was titled Last Letter, the next book you read has to be starting with the letter R. This one, I don't remember. Oh, I do remember. Here, Becca put to do a book poll. So to pick a few books and then to put an online poll and let other people decide for you. Because Rogue Potato is not on any social media whatsoever, this would be really hard for him to do. So we decided to go with the prompt, one you've always wanted to read. So this is kind of similar to one that is a TBR veteran. But I feel like this is a little bit more specific and it's kind of pushing us out of our comfort zones a little bit more, I think. Our green is all about representation. We have disability or mental health representation in the book, POC representation, and LGBTQIA plus representation in the book. Our last railroad is the, of, a, and in the title. So this just means it has to have an article in the title. Then we have another chance. Okay, so our blues are going to be a long book. Again, you can change the page number here. If a long book for you is over 300 pages, change this number down here to reflect what a long book for you is. If I was playing this by myself, if I was playing this book by myself, I would probably change this number to a book over 500 pages. But again, we're playing this with two people, so we're kind of trying to average what a long book is for both of us. And then this is going to be the opposite of our lowest rated is our highest rated. So once again, we're going to filter our TBR list on Storygraph or Goodreads, something like that, and pick the book that is rated the highest. And then this is our luxury tax square. So what is your most recent purchase? That is going to be the book you're reading if you land on this square. And once again, the chance and community shelf ones are kept separately. We keep them in little jars because if we had playing cards, our cats or kids would just knock them over. So a community shelf pull, we have a list or we have little pieces of paper with different types of genres of books, and we get to pull one and then choose a book that fits that genre. And for chance, we each have our own chance jar filled with books that are already on our actual bookshelf upstairs, but that we haven't read yet that we want to read. So I hope that helps. That is our Bookopoly board. I hope you enjoyed our Bookopoly board tour. Let me know, are there any prompts that you personally would change, or are there ones that you wish that we had included that we didn't? Let me know in the comments. I'm actually really excited about all of these prompts, and I think they're really going to stretch us as readers this year. Happy reading, and I'll see you next time.